Library Advisory Board to order at 7:02 p.m. Welcome. Does everyone have, yes, and welcome to you. Welcome to you.
Oh, thank you.
So I guess we kind of did roll call of sorts.
Well, you could, I don't know if you did it when you started the meeting. Just do it.
Okay, well, we're here. We have a quorum. The gang's all here, no one is missing. So we are a small little board. Welcome, Diane. It's nice to have you with us this week or this month. Couple quick business items. My brain's starting to slow down, so
We're here to help. We're on number 2.
if I hold on, I can see that. The words aren't coming as easily, that's what it is. Approval of last month's minutes. Did anybody have any questions or corrections? Do we have a motion to approve? So moved. A second? I'll second. Approved. Check. Hello.
Hi.
Are you here as a member of the public
I
who would
am,
like to be heard?
But not to be heard, just
Okay.
sitting and observing.
Well, you are very welcome to sit and observe.
Thank you.
Wanted to make sure you were not here in another capacity to give a report later on.
Okay.
No one else seems to be waiting to be heard. And so, a little bit out of order because Diane is here as our new council liaison, and we've been waiting for you. And we're so happy to have you join us. And we do have some introductory bits where we'll have like more of a conversation, get to know some things about you, and you'll get to know some things about us and how this board works.
That must be the icebreaker then?
Well,
Or introductions?
yeah, that would be item B.
Okay.
But we do, I guess it's connected because we do an icebreaker at the start of every monthly meeting as a way to just connect with each other as humans and find commonalities and make each other laugh, and kind of it's a little way to see one another as a multi-dimensional being and not just the person who comes to talk about library business only. And so I think over time, I feel a more cordial relationship with the other board members than, if we were just like all business all the time. So I'm just explaining that's what it is and why we do it. But is it me? Am I the one?
If you want to do the icebreaker, yes, volunteer for it.
Okay, so the icebreaker is not going to be book or library related. It's going to be stress related, right? Because no matter what we do, what our jobs are during the day, we always have to manage our stress and navigate accordingly. So I'm interested in knowing what is something, if you know you're going into a stressful week or you're going to have a stressful day and you're going to do all your logistical preparations, what's one thing that you do for yourself to kind of like get hyped or pumped up, psyched to do the thing, right? If you know the phrase, eat the frog, right? I got to do this, I got to big slog, 10 hours of meetings, right? What's something that you do to help get yourself pumped? Or at least, out the door. Just totally over your head. I can start. Music is really important to me. And I have a very wide and eclectic musical tastes. Music brings me joy. It's like the easiest, most accessible way for me to boost my mood is to put on music. And so if I know I've got something hard or stressful coming up, or like just a long, tiring day, I'm going to put on some upbeat tempo music to get the blood going.
have a hard day at
Okay.
hand, I try to.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It's hard to know.
No, go ahead.
If
Yeah,
I have a
no worries.
hard day ahead, I try to make sure that I have time to work out in some fashion. Sometimes that might be a game of monkey with the dog. She has a little monkey, and throw the monkey, and she goes, catches it, and then tries to be cagey with it, and I try to, get it from her. So it gets a little more physical. So, and she likes to, go out for a walk too. So sometimes it's just, let's take a quick walk, especially the weather's been so nice.
Yeah. What kind of dog do you have?
She's a Havanese,
Okay, so smaller.
20 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just look at one
Lively.
now. Those,
Yeah.
they're active.
Oh my gosh, when she's done and wants to head home, she just pulls me home.
Yeah.
Just sets a blistering pace.
There's an
my heart
image
rate up.
tied behind her dog.
Yeah, I'm making a sled because I think she's strong enough.
Yeah, they got more traction because they got 4 feet on the ground.
Right. Just a low center of gravity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, who's got any left?
Katie, I think you start talking. Why don't you go?
Yeah, mine is not healthy and I do not advise it.
But it works.
I overdo the weekend. I overdo the weekend around the house, so I'm like, oh, I need a break from all that physical activity, and I'm exhausted, and then I just rely on adrenaline to go.
So just,
Don't recommend it.
am I hearing you right? Just like do more stuff,
More stuff.
and then it's like
Different
momentum.
stuff. So if I have like a day of like, right, like a busy, in-person, long day, then like, yeah, at least I'm not doing physical stuff around the house. And I'm like, ooh, a break from that. Yay.
That's
Not
clever.
good. It's
You're
I mean,
tricking yourself.
when you said like not advised unhealthy, I thought it was maybe worse than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what I was imagining either.
Oh, and then I do a couple shots.
What?
And then I do a couple shots.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I leave
right.
that part out.
Espresso shots are what you should go with, not the other kind. When you're trying to ramp yourself.
B12.
Yeah, wrong effect.
Yeah.
All right. Were you gonna go next?
Well, I can. I've been retired for 12 years, so I don't have stressful days like that anymore. But when I was working, I would I had a lot to do in the mornings, and I would just keep going and eat my sandwich at my desk, and then about 2 o'clock, I would go outside and walk the quadrant. So I worked at CU. And if the weather was truly horrible, I would go up to the 3rd floor of the stacks and walk fast around the stacks multiple times. Because there's a lot of space up there and there's hardly anything up there. And that would kind of get the stress out.
I mean, getting away from your desk is proven. It's been
Yeah,
written about.
Yeah, and
That's
my
my
job, like email meetings and personnel stuff, so, it was really nice to go. And it was even nice to go up in the stacks and just look at books. So that's what I did. Yeah,
Tip, even if you don't work in the library,
yeah,
just walk around and read the signs.
yeah,
Get lost.
yeah, exactly.
Did you want to go, Nicole? Or not?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I feel like so one thing is I'm a list maker. So like before a day, I would make a list of everything I have to do, and I mean like everything. Like I would put like even if I had to be like in a meeting, I would like write that down, and, like check like I went to that meeting. Like I wouldn't even be having to do anything. It just feels nice to check off the box. And it's like one of the things you can do is just be like make to-do list, check, so like any little thing that I can like check off so I'm making progress throughout the day made me feel a little bit better about getting through it. And for me it was like, especially when I was working, having a busy day where it's like the calendar is packed from the moment you wake up till like, you go to sleep, never felt very productive. Like I was never actually getting work done, it felt like. But being able to just check off, like I attended all of those meetings, like sometimes helped me get through my day. So.
Nicole, I don't know if you can take any advice from this, but my dad is also a list guy. He always keeps about 4 or 5 at any given time, depending on the subject. And he has a main one. And the first thing on the main one says, check your other to-do list.
Oh, we would get along. I keep a lot of lists in Google Keep, the app or whatever, and I have many lists, and it's like my weekly list refers to my daily list and vice versa. Yeah, for sure.
Your list of lists?
For a list.
Oh,
Yeah, if I don't write something down, it is immediately out of my brain. So like, I need to write everything down.
So me too.
Do you want to do or not?
I can. Really, the biggest thing that came to mind was, I mean, again, music, like Jamie mentioned, but for me, it's going for a drive. I like to drive, so I just go out and listen to blast music usually, and yeah, just go within the speed limit, but not slow.
This is a nice lead-in for me. By the way, Diane, just so you know what icebreakers are not required. I don't think we mentioned that. Like, if it doesn't resonate with you.
Oh, no,
anybody,
anyone
yeah.
can pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just figured I
sometimes
would
they
mention
do,
if it's not
yeah.
a topic you want to engage in. I mean, this is one advantage that I do commute from Denver because I do, whether it's music or podcasts, it helps. If I don't do something like that, I'll ruminate on everything about the day, and so it is good distraction. And like Tracy, I like to drive occasionally within the speed limit. Commuting is no issue because I can't go any faster, but
Right.
and sometimes I take the bus, and that's even better because then I don't have to drive, and I can read actually. So all those things to kind of just put my mind in the right mindset, I guess, whatever that is.
Associate.
Yeah. So good questions. I think that's everything.
It's so weird to not offer you.
Oh, no, it's fine. Thanks.
You wanted to pass? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
And so now we're on to formal introductions and orienting you a little bit to this board. I thought about all of us just going around really quickly and introducing who we are, maybe how long you've been on the board, and something that you enjoy. I mean, just make it up, Charlie. Something you enjoy about being involved with this board. Something that inspired you to apply, or something that you've gotten out of it so far. And then we would like to hear from you, Diane.
Okay, I'll go. Well, I worked at CU for 17 years, and I retired in 2014. And like a month later, I volunteered here in the Homebound program. So I select books. There's a library staff person who's a coordinator, or a librarian. Jan is a librarian. Yeah. So she's a coordinator and has the contact with the people who can't get to the library, and they do a profile, and then I just select books because I read a lot, and they have preferences, and you can find books for them.
And what did you do at CU?
Oh, I was the head of the acquisitions department.
So a librarian?
Librarian.
Oh, that's not, maybe
yeah,
worth
librarian.
mentioning.
What's your name? I was going to say, were you in the library?
Yeah, Charlene Kelsey. Yeah. Yeah, and
With
we-
a CH?
Yeah, with the CH. And we were, the librarians are faculty at CU, so we also had to do research and service. I went to ALA twice a year for years, lucky. And I think why I applied for the board was I wanted to learn more about how the public library works, because it's very different from the academic library. And I wanted to be more involved in the Longmont community, and I figured this was a good way to kind of following an interest that I already had in libraries, but then also learn more about how the city government works, so money, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
And you joined?
And I joined January of last year. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It feels,
That's-
it's hard
that's
to
right.
remember
The
the
old
That's right, you just finished a year.
Yeah, it's the oldest agenda I have, so I guess it's much.
How about online? Katie, Nicole, do you want to introduce
Katie,
yourself?
were you able
Yeah.
to hear the topic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I know you had to step
Yes.
away for a second. So.
Yeah. So my name is Katie, and I'm, and I guess my day job, my daytime, I'm the Development and Communications Director at Longmont Meals on Wheels. And I got into this board because I love being on different boards and being involved in nonprofits and city boards and things like that. And I felt the library is one of those things where you know, most librarians need master's degrees, and I felt when I got on the board, I was kind of worried about outside interest groups coming in and taking up space on the library board and trying to steer the professionals. And so I kind of just wanted to be on here as a cheerleader for the people who have the advanced degrees in this.
Thank you.
Was that happening at all?
No.
No,
I
not
can't-
here, but it was kind of like surrounding areas, and it just made me nervous.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay.
You look ready.
Yeah, I stepped out for a minute, so I assume we're just all introducing ourselves. That's the.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm Nicole Gallifrey. Let's see. I retired a couple of years ago to take care of my kids. Before that, actually, when I joined this board, I was a software engineer. And I think a big part of why I got involved in this board was I'd been spending a lot of time at the library because of my kids, and really just taking advantage of all that the library has to offer, and felt like I wanted to give back. And I did want to kind of represent what I felt was a big part of the library usage was families with young children. And also just making sure that the library was able to provide for all the different like sectors of the city, and where we can actually bring library resources to people who can't necessarily make it into the library building and things like that. That's something that I'm also passionate about. So.
Nicole, is this your second year?
I've been on the board since I think June of 2024.
That sounds about right.
Okay, so
I
almost
think that's right.
2 years. And Katie, did you mention how long? I feel like
Oh no, I didn't do that one, and I have no idea.
Well, I think
feel like I
after
need a
me,
grown up.
you're the most senior
Like, I
board
need a
member.
grown up to answer that question. AKA Tracy.
I feel like it's 3 years, but I'm not willing to put money on
That sounds
We'll figure it
it.
out.
We'll figure it out.
Go ahead, Jamie.
I'm Jamie Quirk. I am by day a youth programming manager for Boulder County Public Health. And that is a relatively new career for me. Before that, I worked for about 13 years in Waldorf schools as an administrator, and got to kind of slide over into some teaching through that. Before that, I worked in publishing as a book editor, a designer, and also I wasn't allowed to call myself a librarian because I didn't have the degree, but I had a full-time job in public libraries, couple different libraries, working in programming, youth services, and circulation. So libraries have been a great love of mine and like where I feel most at home outside of my own house. And so when I moved here to Colorado in 2021, I think I got my library card within 2 days. And then it's just like I need to orient myself, where's the library? And then in that first year, kind of sniffing out ways to get involved. I volunteered with the Friends for a while and applied to be on this board and was a member for a while, and then wound up in this chair position. This is my first year. I'm in my first year of my second consecutive term. So I'm doing it for a minute. I think John and I started like very close to the same.
Yeah, that's true. I think.
You were pretty new.
Yeah, I started in November, and I think it was that January we were getting new members. Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm John. I'm the library director. No official role on the board other than what do they call me?
You
Ex
already
officio
have
member.
the
I never remember the term. And then Tracy, who are you?
I'm Ricey Steele. I'm the library's coordinator, but I'm also the board secretary. And I did find Katie's term beginning, which was 2023. 2023. So you're coming on 3 years this June.
Cool. Very cool.
And I did want to say when Katie was talking, and Nicole was talking about she's interested in the services for the children and families and everything. And I kind of feel that I'm a representative of the seniors. Because I belong to a group at the senior center, and I'm trying to get feedback from the seniors there. So I kind of feel like that's part of the work.
Okay. So, I'm Diane, and I actually represent Ward 1, which we feel like we always need more library service in Ward 1. Ward 1 in general feels a little disconnected from Main Street, I would say, especially downtown Main Street.
For those of us who don't.
Yeah, where is
aren't
Ward
clear,
1?
like I know my ward, but I couldn't point the
What
others
ward
out.
are you?
Ward 2.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
So Ward 1 was the original ward over here, but Ward 2 moved in when they were bringing in IBMers. So it kind of becomes this pie shape that intersects with Ward 1. And then, as people moved northwest, that became Ward 3. So it's pretty much east of Maine and goes out to the reservoir and all the way down to Sandstone Range. So in a lot of ways, it's agricultural adjacent. It has a lot of pretty parts of Longmont. And people have lived in my neighborhood for a long time. I'm a big library, I'm a big reader. I usually have 6 to, and I have 10 books checked out, but 6 I'm reading currently. It's a little bit hard, strangely, to get down to this library. Because a lot of times I'm here at night, at the Civic Center. I think in one way or another, I voted all of you on this board. Because I got elected in 2023 in the end of 2022 in November, and then was on the board, for a month, and then it was 2023. So I feel as you were talking about yourselves, like, I think I know this person. I think I remember reading your application.
Oh, right.
So that's, that's kind of fun. So I'm a big, when my husband was on an assignment, we traveled around the country. I probably put my hand on 5 different library cards, because if there was a library in the town, I was happy. And it was interesting to me how each town had maybe a different genre or different types of authors that maybe I didn't see a lot job, I'm a business development accountant. But originally started as an art student, so try to mesh that together. I kind of thought at one time at university that somebody would figure out I was an art student and kick me out of accounting school. But but now I kind of get it, because accounting isn't really about numbers, it's a language. I've had engineers come to me and say, "Wow, I took an accounting class thinking I'm good with numbers, but I realized that's a whole different animal." I said, "Yeah, it's really a language. It's a way of thinking, a way of processing." And so I work in the local business. I wouldn't say it's necessarily small, because some people have really big budgets, but I tend to work with startups and get people started with their own business, get them, right with the accounting and profitable, and how do we manage a couple places and things to make it all work. And, so at one point I just decided the city wasn't talking enough about transportation, and I ran for an at-large position. I talked about transportation. I'm a big fan of the Hyperloop, which is something that CDOT applied for, and right now I'm on the North I-25 Coalition, and they've been working on that fifth lane, the toll lane on I-25. So I'm sorry they have been creating havoc this whole time. But originally the state said we would not be able to get everything done until 2075. So this coalition will be working down to Highway 7, I think. It's the next segment. So one of those segments was the mobility hub there at Firestone. Mustang comes through. And so it became an issue, because I was also on the transportation board before becoming a councilwoman. So it became an issue of how do we get that last mile and get people out to the hubs of us, north or south, and not have to get in the gridlock that we were having. So I'm a big proponent, as you can see by my background, of high technology. So I feel like if we're going to go forward with better transportation solutions, we need to make sure it lasts for the next 100 years. And that's something that the I-25 Coalition works on. I work with a lot of CDOT folks there. We have two really savvy female engineers. I just want to mention that because I don't think they get enough accolades. And also, as they've been working on I-25, they've been not just adding that lane, but fixing the drainage problems that we had during the flood, and just approaching it from a holistic point of view. So really appreciate that. And let's see. So I'm excited to be on the library board because I'm a reader. Every day I'm a reader. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. And we'll hopefully get to know each other better, every month that we.
I don't get to do art very much anymore, but so that's another thing.
Name some friends.
Oh.
I won't get us.
You're talking Jamie's language
Yeah,
now.
I promise. Don't let me go down
anything with
rabbit hole.
paper.
Okay.
And also paint. My longtime neighbor and friend was passed away a couple of years ago, just shy of her 103rd birthday. So I know what you're saying. I really miss having that senior point of view, especially how to age. We're all getting there.
Yeah.
And she was a big reader too. So
And
exchange
that's one
books
of the
and
things I like being on the homebound program, because
yeah.
most of them are older. We have a couple people who are disabled, but most of them are just can't get out.
And she was a painter, and we would paint together, and she taught me watercolor, which is quite a bit different than, if you're a oil painter or acrylic. It's kind of the opposite way of thinking. But she was a watercolorist and had studied that. But as she got older, her arms became numb, so we would do a lot of stamping together. We'd make cards or just even banners retired to Golden West eventually. And, just, you know, to support the group. And so those types of crafts. And recently my husband bought me a beautiful bouquet of Lego flowers. So, I think it's both sides of the brain.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I like it. My daughter, I have a 13-year-old who likes those Lego sets, the botanical ones.
Yeah, they have succulents and all kinds of,
Wow.
yeah.
She's got one of those, yeah. I'm actually an artist.
Oh, are you? What's your medium?
Mostly acrylics, but I'm doing a lot of painting.
Yeah. It's a whole different way of thinking.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of creativity on this board. You know, we're writers and crafters and artists. Nicole's a phenomenal baker. I'm sorry you couldn't be here for our December meeting because there were
It was
cookies and
sample.
they were amazing. But yeah, it's all relevant to me, right? So like listening to your introduction and thinking about the kinds of things that you've been passionate about and that moved you to get involved or to run for office and so on is this feels like a good fit.
Oh, good.
Because I can tell like you have some analytical skills of seeing an issue and then wanting to get closer to it in order to help figure it out and move things forward. And I think that we all kind of have that quality too, in our own ways.
Matthew had said this is not a good fit.
I probably wouldn't say anything.
She wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't say anything.
This just isn't gonna work.
But you know, seeing like is a gap is seeing accounting as its own language, right? Like I don't know. There's just something about that worldview that feels very in line with us because I think we also we're lovers of language and different forms of communication and talk about that a lot. So to kind of give you a brief summary of where I think we're at, and then I would love it if any of the other board members wanted to add on or contradict me, you know, that would be fine too. But so as an advisory board, since I've been on the board, we've had more active and less active seasons, depending on what was going on in the community, what the library was looking to do, or it was challenging the library at the time, and then what the interaction has been with council. So when I joined, it felt like a pretty active moment in that they were just wrapping up or getting ready to finalize or present the feasibility, this long protracted feasibility study process. And so I came in on the tail end of that, and the board was talking about things like, well, are the results ready? Let's go through, there's all this data and information. Well, what is it that we want council to focus on? And what is it that's really important to John and staff? And then, you know, those priorities, we want to make sure that we represent constituents in Longmont to council saying, hey, you know, we think this is really important, and these pieces we want to highlight because there's just so much. And so the board members who were sort of mentors to me in a way, I came on and I was in the audience watching them give comment at council meetings and make statements and so on. And then maybe like the next year or something is when the ballot measure started cooking. And so all of the meetings were talking about the ballot measure and what are people in our wards, our neighborhoods saying about that, and do we really understand this, and what's the language that's being used, and trying to kind of follow what was happening with that measure as it took shape. working closely with the Friends of the Library, that volunteer group and that board, to increase awareness and educate the public about the ballot measure, what a yes vote would mean, what a no vote would mean. Terrible timing, shoulda, woulda, coulda, things that we could have done differently, but that was a really good learning process for me in terms of how the city operates and how these things happen, who's involved and so on, the timelines. And then right now feels like a little bit of a lull where we talk about, John will share a report from his perspective a little bit later. So here we stay informed about all of the things that are happening within the library and things that might, John will put on our radar if something might escalate to, being the sort of issue that a resident would bring to council. Wanting to be prepared, or if someone came to give comment at this meeting, which has, I could count on one hand the number of times that has happened since I've been here. If they came and they showed up and they were really upset about something, or they wanted us to use our voice to elevate their message to council. But none of that's happening right now. So in end of 25, beginning of 26, past couple of months, we've tried to do more housekeeping stuff, right? So we reviewed our bylaws, we reviewed a lot of the documentation, some of which will be in these lovely board binders that Tracy put together to kind of keep it all together. What did we go over? The interview process?
We redid the interview questions, and
there were a lot of little documents that were connected to this board that just kind of rolled over year after year, and we were working with those documents and having some pretty meaty conversations about things like not being clear or not making sense, and so we decided these haven't been reviewed in ages, so just kind of working our way through those documents and making sure they're updated to reflect how the library operates now, and sort of what our priorities are, which is being a conduit for the public, really, to council about the library, informed by staff.
I don't know if you're aware that the council's been talking about changing the interview process. That'll be coming back to us. There's nothing really too changed on your part, and that you'll still be doing the interviews. It's just that the liaison now should be part of the interviews. Still just listening. But we want to bring it down to just one in-person interview with candidates and record it. And then, for instance, whoever is not the liaison on the library board would then, be able to access it and listen to it. For me, I might want to sit in on more interviews that aren't in my repertoire, but just to see them in person, because I do find value in the actual interviewing.
I didn't realize that constituted a change. I mean, the in-person part I'm hearing, it sounds different, but was Susie never part of the interviews?
No,
It's not.
and there were two, right? So the board, we would do one, the
Yes.
board would do one, and then council did their own. So this
Okay.
is more of this is very new.
Yeah, and it also needs time for council.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
needs more time.
It's not a.
So it's not a done deal, but that's the original initial direction.
Interesting. We are 1, 2, 3, 4. One seat open?
Yes, yeah, we had someone resign at the end of 2025.
Yeah.
So we're vacant a position, so once that cycle happens, we'll have a vacancy.
I guess the other addition is if you have one seat and you have 3 applicants, we would like to offer other seats on other boards to those other 2 applicants if they're qualified. Because we don't want to turn away any volunteer. But by the time you put in an application and you've done an interview,
Right,
you have a lot invested.
right.
So,
That's interesting.
yeah, we often have boards that have
Like the idea.
extra. You like the idea?
Yeah, I like that idea. I think that's a really great idea because you're right. It is somebody like me who I went through the Boulder County leader fellowship program, right? And one of the goals coming out of that is to get on more boards, some of the leadership role. And there's other programs out there like that. And so, yeah, I mean, library was my first choice, but yeah, it's a really interesting thing. If that wasn't available, but other things were, yeah, I probably would have jumped at it, you know?
Yeah, we had
Because if you want to get that to your community, if you want to be a leader of your community, yeah, you have your first choice, but you have your second choice.
Right.
Some people,
Mm-hmm.
I was only interested in one.
Same.
But, that's,
But then you would turn it down.
Senior Center had another spot open, or sustainability, or Parks and Recreation. I mean, all those are somewhat adjacent.
yeah.
I'm not going to push you on planning and zoning.
No, thank
It's a certain.
you. I just went
Somehow
for
there's
this.
always
special-
applicants for that, and there's
Yeah.
a certain mindset.
Yeah.
Well, it might shock you to know, I can remember one time where we had more applicants than openings. Like,
Yeah.
we should be so lucky. And that's a conversation, like, we've had a few times now, is about, should we go through the steps of expanding this board? Some of the other advisory boards have more seats, and we're 5. So, this may be my pet thing, but I look at the population that we have in 2026, and I look around the table at our lovely white woman faces, and I wonder, are we as representative as we could and should be? So, whether that's adding a couple more seats to allow more opportunity, or adjusting the way that we recruit and message in the community, to look at what the barriers might be for somebody who had a different background or schedule or language. What are the barriers to entry to get as many applicants? I would love to have that problem of having 3 applicants in 1 seat.
Yeah, I live in a multicultural neighborhood, and I have a neighbor that I really want to get on Division 0 task force. And one of the things might be that she's younger, but she has had 3 accidents in town now. I really think she has valuable insight. But I also think her family, pushes education, which my family did too. I feel like that's the priority for her, and so English is Spanish speaking. She doesn't show up at the Vision 0, and we need her input.
I'd be interested in continuing to brainstorm and talk to people.
We'll go hand out applications in my blocks and say, hey, I think it'd be a good mix for, let's find out what they're interested in. And also, some of that is a disconnect, like I said. Look, the downtown area and Ward 1, I think Ward 1 often feels not included, or it's so far. It's not that far, but it is a drive. Depending on where you are, 12 or 15 minutes, not that bad, especially at the time of night when there isn't a lot of traffic. But
Whenever people say that, I just have to laugh, because I lived in California.
I know.
You can get from one side of the town to the other in 10, 15 minutes. What's the problem?
But my mother had always had the idea of, well, that's all the way across town.
It's all relative, right?
It's all relative,
Yeah.
what you're used to, and, I do understand people talking about the traffic because Kent Boulevard can be really bad at times.
Mhm.
Over.
And you get spoiled.
And, yeah.
Well, and then you're thinking of transportation and those without, that's the challenge, right? And, you
Yeah.
know, I think for people that rely on local bus service, I've never heard anyone say it's easy
It's true.
to get, you know,
And
it's like to
we
get
do see
here, it's not a
Longmont
straight
a
shot,
lot,
right?
but
It's like, yeah.
Has, you know, ends it to 6th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that's a possibility as to why.
I'm sure that's in their people's work schedules, childcare. I think it's great that we can offer a hybrid option. I know that we've had some really, really strong, including board members who are with us now, who might not be able to have as much of a presence or be as involved as they are if they didn't have that option. Because we're raising kids and working day jobs and all of the things. So, yeah. It'll be an ongoing thing that comes up in this group. And so, yes, please ask questions at any point of any of us if there's something you want to know or know what we're talking. Like, there's nothing big that's like in the middle. We're in the middle of something that you would like need to catch up on. This is actually a really great time for you to step in because we're figuring it out as we go. And in fact, our very next agenda item is circling back to a question that was asked a month or two ago, which is thinking about having some concrete goals for the year. There's an election up ahead, or there isn't something specific that we're working toward or putting a statement together around. It would be good, I think, to have just some longer term, like this year, where we want to work on this, this, and this. Or maybe it's even like more bite-sized, like not a big lofty goal of what we're going to accomplish, but we want to have these kinds of conversations. We want to move the needle a little bit in some area, or we just want to strengthen relationship and communication with partner groups such as the Friends, or we had talked about potentially having something return to being a part of this agenda, which was John's first year. We would be visited by different library staff each month, brief 10-15 minute presentation on their department and what they did or how a certain function in the library, how that went, and then board members would have a chance to ask some questions and really kind of know what we're talking about so we can better represent the library in the community.
What are you hearing from the community?
It's interesting. We'll hear different things. I mean, I don't think we hear necessarily contradicting things, but we move in different circles. And so, as much as I lament certain types of diversity, I do think we have a fair amount of diversity in a sense of like the spaces that we occupy outside of this work. This is a great question for others to have a chance to talk, though. What are we hearing right now? Like, what's kind of the need on the library and in the context of other things that are going on in the city? Like what?
And I will mention, Nicole, that I have heard that women with young children, they feel that the books are aging and there could be a better selection. I've gotten that through my council communication emails.
We don't spend a ton of time talking about like operational stuff.
Yeah.
But so something like that, which we have talked about, like that has come up and been brought to us, and I'm thinking of Nicole in particular, brought that to us, I think just last month.
Yeah,
A similar topic. But like that tells us like, okay, well, what would be the biggest barrier to upgrading the children's collection? money. Everything that this board has discussed all goes back to budget. And so if I had to say, this is our big theme, it's the same theme it was 3 years ago, which was having a budget that gets us closer to being able to serve the population that we have in Longmont. Things look really nice around the library. When you're here, it feels like there's, of course people will comment on all kinds of things, but I think largely the perception is, because we saw this during the ballot thing, like, what is the library? It's so spacious, it's so beautiful, it's so clean, people are friendly, and they don't see
Yeah, what's the problem?
the problem,
Yeah.
because they're able to drive here, they're able to get what they need and access what they want, and they are not necessarily informed about the waiting lists for programs like Homebound or children's and teens capacity, or the waiting lists for study rooms upstairs. And so all of these like concrete physical things that members of the public share with us, like the books are old, there isn't enough space here or there. It all comes back to the budget, and then trying to educate that person a little bit about what the history has been with the budget, and having the Friends supplement 100% of programming, which is pretty unusual for a public library. The Friends should be fundraising for expansion.
And what has been the history with the budget? What has been the history with the budget? Because I see a library as an essential service, but you don't have a budget that reflects that. So,
Well,
tell me why.
Well, I mean, why is a good question. I mean, it's in a municipal structure, right? I mean, I hate to say it like this, but often I find as a library we're competing with other, what people would generally think of it as essential service, right, for resources. And so you kind of stay here while everyone else grows. And that's what the feasibility study showed. It's like we kind of stayed stagnant as far as budget goes, and however that math was figured out at the time. It's like we had a budget that supported a population of like up to 65,000 people, and it's trickled a little bit. Here we are with 105,000, whatever Longmont is now, and so it's like, so when your budget's not growing and then costs go up, and the easiest example I have of that is ebooks and e-audiobooks. That libraries suffer the most out of any industry because the publishers charge us astronomical cost per item. So an e-audiobook for us to buy is usually $65 to $70 a book. You'll never pay that as an individual consumer, right? And sometimes they're free. And that's hard. But our budget stayed. Like, I'm saying, like, hey, costs are going up. People before me probably said the same thing. But there just weren't city resources to increase our budget. So here we are now with this much larger population, and we just can't support that.
And your budget comes from the general fund.
It comes from the general fund. We're blessed that the Friends of the Library supports this library in the way that they do. As Jamie stated, this is the first library I've ever been in where we're programming. So from story time to author events is not considered a core operation, just like collections. I don't know how that came to be. So without the Friends, we couldn't do story time. I mean, maybe not story time, but some other events.
Is that through book sales?
Yeah. And memberships, primarily, and sometimes donations, but they do a phenomenal job. But really, what that type of fundraising should go to is, if I think of events like larger events, or things like that we couldn't provide through our operational budget. But our operational budget, we should be able to just do standard programming, you know, and some cost with that. So that's a big issue for me. If you think of the programming we're doing, right? And Storytime looks fun to people, but there's a real goal for that. I mean, there's early literacy involved. What our children's librarians are doing, everything has a reason, right? The stories they're reading, the themes, the toys they play with, everything folds into literacy. It's hugely important. So I'm probably rambling a little bit, but basically, sometimes it's just really challenging to make a case that our budget needs to increase with increasing costs, just like everybody else. But I think I'm in agreement with you, and so is all staff here, that the library is an essential service. And if we're an essential service, then a lot of that should look different to me.
Well, the initiative that you had, I think, was a mixed pot. I think the general public was coming back from COVID. A lot of businesses were seeing it wasn't a great time to take on debt. They were still trying to get their businesses up and going again. And we knew that would eventually hit the city, which it has. We've had to tighten our belt
For sure.
the last couple of years. But that being said, on the campaign trail, a lot of people are interested in having library extension on the northeast and on the west side of town.
Oh, yeah.
And to support populations that, I mean, libraries are the great equalizer in terms of access to information, access to study materials, access to, you know, equipment to equalize what you don't have at home. And it's a great place for kids to hang out when their parents are working late and what have you. So, and a lot of times, like at Kensington Park, and library lockers are coming up here too, and that was a very big concern to me, and also to Susie. She and I collaborate well on these things. So northeast and northwest, and
Yeah.
to have some lockers, because sometimes those kids, their parents both work 2 jobs. They just don't have the access to come down to the library on their own. And Drive Longmont has an age limit, and you know, if you walk across the park, especially as the days get longer, get your materials.
Right.
And it is getting harder, even if you can drive, to find a place to park
Oh,
down here.
gosh.
You know, I was trying to park for Parkwire books, and I had to park like a block and a half away and I was lucky to find a spot. You know, so downtown has really gotten even more difficult, and the library's right plunk in downtown.
I just heard that complaint today from a constituent who was kind of rambling on different topics as to why, but
Yeah.
generally,
Yeah.
you know, if the parking's taken up with an event or something,
Yeah,
then
that,
you just can't
people are just going to give up.
Yeah.
And, you know, to John's point about the rising costs, the seniors have flew by me. Somebody was talking about getting the e-books online, and he was very disappointed because, you know, you go to Libby and he's looking for things and they're all not available. So he goes to the Boulder Public Library. You know, and I tried to explain,
Yeah.
it's because of the high costs and we don't have the budget and stuff. But people don't care about that. They just want to get stuff. And the e-books, I mean, that was a lifesaver during the pandemic. I would have died without being able to get books, you know. So, you know, it's something that, but as John says, they charge you for it. And it's not like once you buy it, you have it forever, right?
Correct. Most models are
It's a rental.
They're rentals. Like if you cancel that agreement, you'll lose all that content.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not like here, you know, you buy a book and you can have it here for 20 years. So
that's a great example of like something that is a public awareness, like an educational piece that the board could have some influence over, because I found that the general public does not know
Yeah.
that the libraries pay a drastically different price for content versus your average, like an individual consumer. And I've had like debates with people who are like, that doesn't make any sense. Why? You know,
Well,
like,
it makes
I'm like,
perfect sense for the publishers.
are you questioning like whether that's real or not? Because I'll
Yeah.
tell you, it's real.
It's
I work for
real.
publishers. I know exactly why they do that.
Yeah.
It's
They
all about
factoring in
profit.
the idea that you're actually servicing
It's the
20,000.
lifetime of
people, yeah.
product. Yes.
Well, and for print books, libraries actually get a discount because they buy so much quantity. But that's not how the e-content works. So,
Well, publishers and writers need to be paid.
well, too.
Mhm.
So we have to deal with the world we have.
This is actually one of, I always come with my feedback from the community. This is actually one of the ones that came up for me this month, was someone talking about their library card tourism, where they go collect other library cards from other libraries because the Longmont ebook, the Libby Hold line is so much longer than any of the other library cards that they have. And it's like dramatic, like more than double longer versus Boulder or whatever other library cards they have. And so they're not complaining about the model or how much it costs or anything, but they're literally just saying Longmont has a terrible ebook situation, and so they have to go to other libraries instead of using their local library.
So it's contributing to the transportation problem, because people are driving to other libraries. So
I think just the one time you get the card, but sure.
Yeah, I mean, once you
I know, you
do
get
it
it online.
but still.
Yeah.
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 But that affects other libraries because then, if there's more people accessing that library's ebooks, then that can make their waiting lists longer. So it's really a fairness issue,
Fairness, yeah.
within Colorado.
And accessibility. and-
Accessibility,
yeah.
yeah.
So, which becomes an equity issue. Okay, I'm learning.
I see most of the issues as an equity issue from some angle. Like, try to think of something we've discussed in the past year.
Since
that
the
doesn't
Carnegie
happen.
Libraries, I mean, gosh,
Yes.
what a big game changer that was.
It's
The rural
unbelievable.
community.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's been a lot of growth in Longmont, but it is unbelievable that we don't have any branches or satellite locations in the city, and we're
Yeah.
like ecstatic to be getting lockers.
And I accept that.
Yeah. No, but it's true. I mean, besides money, and it would take money to grow with, serviceable locations. Lockers, any step in that direction is great, right? We've talked about that, but no, I mean, if you look at populations, cities of similar size, they at least have 2 or 3 branches, fully operational branches. Here we are with still one. So that's an equity issue. So a lot of people are getting left out.
Well, this is going well. Does anyone, so we are talking about goals, up here. Does anybody see anything that they can bring down to goal formation? Either concrete or just like, hey, let's talk about this more, right? What are the things that we want to kind of put on our dashboard for 2026?
Throw out something adjacent. I know that the Longmont Rotary is doing the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which I think is for newborns, and it's a newborn gets one new book, and then I think they're trying to expand it to be a follow-up book the next year. So as a transition into toddler. But shouldn't we be augmenting that in some way? Like, having more toddler books so that when, you're getting them started reading, then they need to come to the library and get more books. And is that a way to formulate a solution for those younger patrons?
Yeah, there actually has been something in place for a number of years now that actually is funded by the Stewart Family Foundation, and it's called Longmont Growing Readers, and it's funneled through the Friends of the Library, actually, the money for it. And there's an organization that runs that. I think they're located up in Fort Collins or something, but it exists in other places. But so people who sign up for that, the kids get a number of free books throughout the year. So there is something in place there. I mean, that's at some point those funds are going to run out, but there at least is something.
And is that through Scholastic or book
No.
sales or something?
No, it's. I think it's called Growing Readers, and then I'm saying Longmont Growing Readers because we have like an instance of that program. No, it's their own thing. I can give you better information of that from my children's librarian that I'm giving you.
I can actually tell you all about all
Or
of these
Nicole.
programs. So the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library is actually amazing, and kids from birth to age 5, so 5 years, get a book every single month in the mail. And it is a excellent, high quality book. It is a fully, it's paperback, it's not hardcover or anything, but it is usually either a classic book or a modern title. They do bilingual, so you can get books in Spanish and English. It's like the most amazing program. Both my kids have been signed up since birth. Super amazing program. Highly recommend it to anyone. In fact, if the library can include this in the children's section, so that more people know about it. Now that Longmont is doing it, it wasn't when my first was born, but my zip code was weirdly enough in Weld County, so I used to get it through the Weld County program. But it's great, and I feel like the library should actually be promoting it. That'd be awesome. That's a great idea. The Growing Readers is for kids who are age 4, so they can sign up when they, I think, turn 4. And we actually didn't sign up for this program because we've seen the books. They're like little booklets. And I think they do English and Spanish. And they do, it's not like a trade book. It's not a book that's been published that you could get out of the library. It's more of like a little it'll be like colors, and it'll have like a picture, and it'll say red underneath it or something like that. There's different topics and things like that. But it's a little bit less. I don't want to say it's not as high quality, but it is a little bit less kind of magazine quality, or a little bit, and it's a smaller little book. So we just didn't need more books. That's the only reason why we didn't sign up for it. We have plenty. But it is a cool program, and it's completely free. And there's a permanent table in the children's section where you can, where anyone can sign up for it when their kids turn 4. So it's always there and available.
Thanks, Nicole.
There was a program called the Mayor's Book Club. Did that one. We did when mine was littler. That one. Just me, aging myself. That one was a bilingual, nice book. Kind of sounds similar to the Dolly Parton Imagination Library book when Nicole's describing it. And that would come in the mail once a month. But it was back when it was Mayor Bagley. And then either he or Yvonne would go on the city's YouTube channel, do a reading in English and Spanish as well of it once a month, if you needed that. But that was really cute. That was, I would say ages 3 to 5, I think was up. Must have been some short-lived program.
I've heard about that actually,
Yeah,
and I think it was kind of something that existed maybe as late as up to about around COVID, I think, since that's our time frame for everything we know.
Any other thoughts or suggestions? We can table the goals conversation until it feels like there's a little bit more make concrete.
Jamie, you had mentioned diversity in the board, and maybe just more engagement is a good place to start with persons of different culture.
We have talked about that as well. What we haven't gotten to yet as a board is how to create actions that's appropriate for advisory board members to take. So it's still relatively new every month to be talking about, like further down in the agenda, what are those opportunities that we know about to go out there and engage with the public as board representatives on behalf of the library. So, planning to, who's going to be at this street fair, who's going to be at this author event. The Friends have really ramped up their presence at events, and it's been inspiring, frankly. I mean, we can't be at, getting donations, but we can be talking about, finding out, like, what are the issues, and also, what is the library appreciated for? What do you want to see more of? Do you want to be engaged? Getting out there and talking about this board, and that we have a seat that will be open in the spring. And so we do touch on that now every month, but like looking for the summer, we were at various of the street festivals, with the library tent, and collaborated with friends and library staff, and I felt like we had lots of conversations, Unity in the Community and those 2 concerts. Anything stand out to anybody in terms of, what the fairgoers were telling us? There's so much love in the community for this library. We would just get one person after the next just saying, I love the library, and getting to hear about what they love, and then standing next to some of the Friends members and getting to tell them, like, yeah, the Friends pay for all of that. Everything you just said, library things, discovery passes, the backpacks, like everything that is not just your basic expected library service. I mean, even programming, if you consider that expected. Like, the Friends fund so much. And so, yeah, that is an easy segue then for board members to say, yeah, the library has really been trying to get more budget, get more engagement, get more donations, get more people showing up at council meetings, or telling, voting, or whatever the call to action is at that time.
So tomorrow on our agenda, we're going to be talking about the America 250 and Colorado 150 and what the plan from the city is. And I wonder if there couldn't be some storytelling about the beginning of the library in Longmont, because I think we had that fairly early.
First known public library in the state.
Was here.
Yeah, it's
What?
it's
It was
on
that,
Pratt.
yeah, that house
know
over,
that.
yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was called Library Hall, and at that time, it wasn't a public library. You would think about it, like not everyone could go. So
Yes.
that was the big difference right there. But I don't even know if it was free, but
Was it? Yeah.
in concept, it was that, and it's a landmark. I think it's on Pratt, not Ken Pratt, but Pratt.
Right. Over.
And yeah, and I believe the museum's doing. We had a meeting about this between the library, museum, and recreation. Just culture enrichment department, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about that. The museum's doing a lot, and they're kind of the owner of like archives and local history. And I believe that was talked about somewhere in there of what that looks like. We're certainly, as a library, we're going to focus on like Colorado authors and displays here. And we're kind of ironing out if there's any special programming or anything like that.
What year did that library begin? In the state?
Oh
Was it before statehood?
Do you know?
Before 1870?
I'm not sure exactly what month, but 1871.
Wow. And it was started in a lot of the like Friends of the Library type way, wasn't it? Started by women who
Yeah.
wanted to put one together.
Yeah.
And we're still relying on that.
Yeah.
Point that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some storytelling. I know there's going to be some discussion because we have constituents that come to us about a parade, a 4th of July parade, which we did not have. And I think there's going to be a big push to have it this particular year for the, so it would be kind of interesting to have, whether it's, whether it's a focus each month or whether, but to have that story in there somewhere about, because that was before the Carnegie Library. When the Carnegie Library started, it was around the building over there, what year it was.
There's a group of people who are storytellers.
Right.
It would be really cool to kind of write something up and get one of them to tell it as a story.
That's a clever idea. The elementary kids love when that storytelling group comes. It's the highlight of their week. That's a good idea.
Yeah. There was a tea for volunteers one year when I first started doing it.
Oh, really?
And they had one of those storytellers. And it's just fascinating because they're so good at it. It's very dramatic and, they're not reading from something. It's not like a speech or something. They're telling a story and you're just sucked in. And if we could provide them with the actual history, and maybe they could find some things from people's journals or something that talked about this start. The museum might have stuff in the archives and somebody could
They probably do. I'll check with her.
somebody could put it together for a storyteller.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I'd show up for that.
I would too. Yeah. It's not just for kids.
Cross-generational.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what would you tie it to in terms of, would you tie it to something that was gonna then be happening or be on a ballot or a decision that was gonna get made?
I think it's just more of the
I was just thinking.
150.
Yeah, just,
Just celebrating, not
you know,
necessarily.
Yeah, just
Like the
celebrate.
history
but
of
also,
libraries.
But also, maybe, to make it come alive, you talk about the people who came from Chicago to found this colony. And then look, it was one of the first things that got done was a group of women got together and said, we need a library.
And why was that so important?
Yeah.
So we've got to really drop it on.
Yeah, and why was that important?
I mean, it's foundational. It's foundational to Longmont. I think that's helpful.
Yeah. Agreed.
Fun.
I'm gonna move us on, okay? This might come back in some form again, eventually. Okay, we need a project, but it's only February. Locker updates.
Yeah, so it's locker update. The one that's going out at the Hobart, Ascent at Hobart Crossing. I always mess up the name. I don't
I
know.
think that's correct.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
So, that's the new affordable housing, the Longmont Housing Authority project that is pretty much complete out on Hobart for basically 17 and 18. Anyway, when we first were talking lockers, I thought that would be the last to go. Because at the time we were talking about them, I don't think they had as much as broken ground. And now it's done. And the construction manager called me and was like, we got to get that installed. I got to sign off on this project. So I talked to our vendor, and that at least will get installed this Friday.
Oh, wow.
No, that doesn't necessarily mean it's operational yet.
Okay.
We just need to get it installed so he can move on to whatever else he needs to do.
That would be in time for coffee with council there. Right?
Oh.
It's a week from, coffee with council's happening.
So it'll be.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I know, right. But it's good. So it'll get installed because of kind of pushing that up. It'll just be the basic metal locker. It won't have our nice graphical wrap on that we're designing right now because that'll happen in March, not like too much later. But it at least will allow us. There won't be any big announcement of that yet. I think that'll give staff an opportunity to get trained and figure out our logistics on that, and we can do some test runs and things like that. But likely that'll be up and running before the other one, which is still planned for Lashley Street Station in later March on that one. But the Ascent is the bigger update there.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically it. And I'll continue to update on this and eventually see things out about it. More than just sneaking a locker into a place and not saying anything.
Well, there
We
is
will.
going to be some kind of like review.
Yeah, we are talking. I had a very productive meeting with communication staff in the city about this in general.
Mm.
You know, and even with the locker at Ascent getting installed, more kind of doing like a larger like prep marketing release for when the Lashley is done and announcing both of them at the same time, but hoping to do some type of event, probably just at one of the locations, you know, like a ribbon cutting event, and really kind of get it out there and announce it. So that was a good meeting. So we fully intend to do something like that.
The mailers that you sent out, have they said when to expect it?
So we sent the mailers just to Lashley neighborhood, or Ward 1 basically. That was pretty vague. We just wanted to get it out. That just said spring.
I think that whenever those events start happening, it would be good to apprise this board and maybe either give us or come up with together some talking points so that one or more of us can be present and can be talking about, you know, yes, celebrating, yay, the lockers are here and they're ready to use, but how, what does this do for this part of the city and this community, who this is for, and where this could go. So, you know, listening to you talk over the months about the opportunity to use these lockers as something of a test run to see how they're the traction and how they're used and appreciated, and whether that gives the library and the city some valuable information about potential locations for a future branch.
It's Valentine's 14. Ways to love your library. Ways that your library loves
There you go. Yeah.
Don't break up with your library. Is that it for lockers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty quick.
Switch hands.
So are we on to reports and?
We will move on to reports and
Okay.
information.
Okay. So my director update. So let's see. Something fun to mention. Speaking of Carnegie libraries, I was contacted by the Carnegie Foundation months ago, just via email, that it's I don't remember the number. It's a significant anniversary of Andrew Carnegie and starting that whole everyone who wants gets a library kind of thing. And obviously we have a Carnegie library, and I don't know. They basically are giving money. There's just giving money to libraries who still have a Carnegie library. It's $10,000. at first I saw it and I was like, oh, this is probably just a junk email, right? Like no one's just gonna give me money. But then, not that easy.
It's a grant. Sometimes.
It's not even a grant.
Oh my God.
It's a gift. It's a gift. And so anyway, I finally paid attention because somebody emailed, like, are you getting these emails? So I called, I reread everything, and so I called the contact on there. I said, listen, I obviously want the $10,000, but our Carnegie Library is not operated as a library anymore. And I don't know if that matters. Like, I don't want to take this gift if, we're not meeting some requirement. And he said, no, it's that you haven't torn it down. Like, it was that easy. And so.
It's library adjacent.
It is, yeah.
And it's supportive of the library.
It is.
LPM.
Yeah, I think so. So we got that. I asked if we can funnel that gift through our Friends of the Library because that's an easier funding stream for the library to use, and they did, and it's there.
You've received it?
Yep.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I got the check a couple weeks ago or so, and last week or the week before I gave it to the treasurer for the Friends of the Library Board, and got that deposited. So that'll add some money there, and that's never a bad thing.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
Some
Yes.
interesting
Well done.
connections there.
Yeah.
Because we were just talking about the storytelling idea leading up to
Yeah.
the 150
Yeah.
and the long history, foundational history of libraries in Longmont, right? And then the Carnegie Library is built
Yeah.
eventually. And now it's Longmont Public Media.
Yeah.
It is.
Media goes with storytelling.
Yeah, and actually they're a good partner with stuff like this. In fact, they're helping us do video content for the locker, which I think it's going to be really good.
I bet you could tie this all together.
Yeah. So,
What would be really cool is if they could videotape the storyteller telling the story, and then it could be accessible. I mean,
they can.
they'd probably have to get permissions and that kind of stuff, but then it could be available on.
Well, Longmont Public Media, besides their favorite job of recording library board meetings, so not you over there.
I gotta say, this probably is one of your favorites, because I know there's some others I see you at where.
This is. I always love libraries.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we some of the programs we do get recorded, and sometimes they're live streamed, or at least they're made available later. And so,
Yeah.
and when we do that, we always get the right permit. It depends what it is.
Yeah.
Like we did it. The last one I remember doing was the Banned Books event we did last fall at the museum that we do every year, Banned Books Week.
Yeah.
And that was when Outlaw Productions came and did their readings of banned books. And it's a great program, and so they live streamed that. Anyway,
Yeah,
just
that was
to tell you.
Yeah, and that was just,
LPM's a great resource.
Yeah.
They're a partner of the city.
Yeah,
so.
and that would just get it exposed to more people. not necessarily
Yep, absolutely.
Just the people who could
Yeah.
come.
I also wonder if there could be a city tour of these historic markers in our city. The House on the Crown.
I don't see why not. There's already like
I think
Longmont
somebody's
walking
doing-
tours. I think Eric Mason does them still.
Okay. I'll
I'm not
talk to
sure.
Eric.
Yeah, I mean that was his role until he was director, right? He was a local history archivist. So I think he's a
I
wealth
think
of
Eric
knowledge.
stopped doing them.
You stopped doing it?
He might
I
have
think
stopped,
so.
but they have a new archivist now, and so maybe that
Yeah,
person's
exactly.
doing it.
Yeah, they're still happening, it's just not Eric.
Yeah.
He's passed it off.
It's part of his institutional knowledge of somebody else. So, okay.
So on the Carnegie thing, are you designating that 10,000 for anything specific, or is it just kind of going into?
Well, I haven't yet.
Yeah.
It's just like getting it was great. I wanted it in the Friends because that's like putting a gift into the general fund is risky
Yeah.
in
yeah.
my mind,
No,
honestly.
that's good.
It could get swallowed up elsewhere. So like it's there, and I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it could obviously it could do a lot of things. It could support some things in place. You know, maybe we do something different with it. I haven't mentioned this to staff yet either. Because I'm not ready for ideas. Like I need to wait for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, or maybe come with some ideas, you know what I mean? I have 75 people working here, so I'm sure everyone has the right thing. But,
Right, use
well,
some
we
of
will.
it to refresh the children's collection.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, you
There's a
know, so
need,
speaking
yeah.
of community feedback, you know.
Yeah, that's what we've heard stuff about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice just to have it in the bank.
Well, it's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't
And their
have to
account
apply
grows
for it.
interest, you know, it's all the good stuff.
For a rainy day.
Yeah, a rainy day, there you go. So that's one item. And then I wanted to update you on just some of the projects that we're doing this year that we got one-time funding for some projects. So one is, and as a reminder or new information, is using one of the upstairs corners to make an adult literacy center. It's within our strategic plan, and we got one-time funding to do that. And if you've been upstairs or you remember where our computer lab is and those like glass kind of enclosure that doesn't quite come to the ceiling, it's going to be that concept. It'll allow for like basically 3 working spaces within that enclosure, like a larger-ish room and then 2 individual rooms. The idea is with adult literacy to move forward in getting a volunteer base to do tutoring in any aspect, you know, whether it's learning to read, language learning. We've loosely talked about something with citizenship, because a lot of people ask about that. It would all fit within there. But as far as like getting that built, we got the final design of it agreed upon, and so we'll get that. It's probably going to be constructed before we have any real programming in there. I mean, we'll use it, but you know, we got the funding for that before we have really the full staff capacity we need to run it. But we will. We have a staff person that's their primary role, is to kind of get that going and get volunteer support for some of the things we want to do. But that'll be a little bit slower. But you'll start seeing that happening in the next probably couple months or so. It's pretty quick to do that as far as the physical part of that. Our PA system in the library is very old and outdated. You don't even hear it. When we're in here, we should be hearing closing announcements. For one thing, it's an automated system. So that's another funding, and we have gone through the quote process for that and have a vendor, and that'll get going here pretty soon. Much improved system for that. Also, it's a safety issue too, so that if we need to make an impromptu announcement, like something like a lockdown or something, right now it's nearly impossible to do it through the system we have. Like there's so many people that won't hear it. So it's kind of an emergency broadcast system as well. So it was important. It is important, and I'm glad we got the funding to do that. It's not insignificant. I mean, it's going to be like a lot of rewiring throughout this whole library.
Yeah.
And then basically a new speaker system. So, and it'll tie into our phone. So the city phone system. So that's how we broadcast. It has a paging system, and it'll go through that.
It's not connected to any security, alarm
No.
stuff.
Yep.
So when is that?
Soon?
Soon?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know we have a purchase order for it.
It's likely to be installed by the end of the month.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be fully functional quite yet.
Yeah.
So within the next few weeks.
Yeah. I actually, my employee who has been doing all the bidding or the research on that, I think it might be towards the end of this month They were offering days to do install, and that'll take a few days, I think. So probably in March. But another project was to complete, I should say, all the shelving in our children's and teens department. A couple years ago, we were able to do the bulk of it. We replaced all that shelving in children's, reorganized a little bit to create some space. Some of the shelving was just flat out so old it was unsafe. That was a public fund project. And then we really wanted to get the rest of it done and improve the teen portion of that. So that's underway. Working with the same vendor we did last time. Much needed improvement, and it'll do similar things to kind of create some better space and have more. Some of the teen shelving is even worse. I mean, if you look at, you'd have to ask a staff member to take you into the teen area because only teens are allowed. But you'll see on the walls. I mean, it's not much better than like IKEA shelving, and that's not good in a public building. So I don't know how it stayed standing this long. So we'll get that done. And then all of our self-checkout machines, we're very close to having the vendor for that selected through that RFP. That's a combination of public improvement fund as well as the one-time funding. Our self-check machines are just very old. We have a couple of them that are down more than they're up. And people have come to rely on it just like you do at your grocery store probably. So that'll be this year. I'm not sure. It'll happen in the next, hopefully, few months or so. And those will have some improved features too. Like for one, the vendor are hoping that we will get, it's an adjustable self-check, which we don't have now. And then there's some other fancy features that it has, I think, to help streamline the process for people using it. So I think that's what's underway on those projects. And then I do have an update on the model train. So I don't know if we've talked about this, Diane, or if you're aware, but the model train that's in the children's area has been here for 30 years, and people love it. It breaks down a lot. It's old, and I approached the club, and it's been moved within this library. I'm pretty sure about 4 times, and each time it's because we needed the space for something library. And now I finally came to where we can't expand any more of the children's program that we do without having more space. And it's huge. It's like almost 6 by 10 feet. People love it. And I had reached out to the club and said we really need to talk about this. It was donated, so it's the library's. But I was trying to figure that if we are to take it out when we do, they would want a lot of that back, right? I mean, there's a lot of functioning parts and blah blah blah. And so it kind of went into some conversations with the train club, and it got out there to the public. And so we were getting a lot of pushback from the public, like you can't get rid of the train, it's kind of a thing. And so we kind of, I wrote back to some of that. I've been talking with the club people. So fast forward to today. I'm trying to get you to today. We had a really productive meeting with their new Boulder Model Railroad Club is the name, and they have a new president and vice president. And they are interested in building a new train layout in our lobby, which was my suggestion. I think it would be, that way it's more accessible to everybody, for one thing. And it would be on a smaller scale, and then we would get a lot of space back in children's. And then, so they've been doing some research, and we're going to meet again in April, where they are planning to bring some kind of concept of what would work out here. And so I think what may happen is we'll get that, we'll know what's going to happen out here, and then we can arrange with them for how that existing train will go out of here. They'll take it basically, but it'll be in pieces. But there's going to be a gap, right? There's going to be a time where there's no train, and then when we do get a train, because it's going to take time to build. And so, but knowing something's in place, and I think they'll even have a rendering for it, so we can kind of put that up and, you know, just basically say we're getting a brand new train set. They're excited about it. They recognize that a lot of the parts on here they've had to replace, and it breaks down. And, you know, it's 30 years later. There's a lot of ways they can build these layouts now where that's less likely that the train derails, you know, when the kids hit the button and it moves. A lot of times now it derails or a train gets stuck. And so much for the enjoyment.
Sounds like the real Longmont train.
So, anyway, I felt good about the meeting. It's
Stalled out.
it's, you know, it's been a little bit of a touchy subject because it's just such history here. And I'm trying to balance between the needs of Longmont and growing literacy needs and everything, growing population, everything that we talk about here, but recognizing that that's something people love. There's a lot of nostalgia. There's just a lot of new people that come in that just love it. So we're trying to come up with a way where we can still have both, but where we get the space we need for the things we need to do, and then we still have a train that people can enjoy. So that was the nature of that meeting, and we'll meet with them again in April. So maybe it'll be in the April meeting where maybe I have some more information on that again.
Question, it's just a curiosity, but I just remembered listening to something you said made me think of this library back in New Jersey. The train, there was like a shelf that went around the perimeter. This was in the children's room, but the train went all the way around. So it didn't have a footprint, and you couldn't touch it. It was very colorful and very visible, and it ran. I don't think you could like choose to run it.
Right.
I think like the librarian.
You mean here?
No, not here.
Oh,
this was
yeah.
back in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But like, it wasn't where the library in my town, but I just remembered it. The librarian would activate the button.
Yeah.
And it would go all the way around, and I wonder if that would be a consideration to save floor space.
It came up in one of my initial meetings with the train club, or one of somebody brought up that idea.
Oh.
But I kind of agreed with this too, and the club said it. A lot of the love of that is the interaction of it. I mean, think about a kid in an elevator.
They like to push the button.
Yes. So I think it would be fun to watch. It would literally just go in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing about these layouts is a little bit of interest in it,
Okay.
right? And then a kid can start it, and that's a huge deal. And so, yeah, I have. So there used to be a restaurant in Colorado, an ice cream parlor called Swenson's. If anyone, no. Okay.
They had one too.
I love aging myself. So, but they had one that went around, and it was kind of, it was fun. And all you do was just stare at it. But that was clearly not the intent there. So, I don't have anything else.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask a question? Sorry. So I think I had asked this last time, and I don't think you quite had a fully fleshed out plan last time about what. Originally, there was going to be a literacy center, and I think last time I wanted to know a little bit more about like what is replacing the train. Like,
The train.
how they-
Yeah. Well, it's a combination of things, Nicole. I mean, I think the children's staff would like to do something similar to the adult literacy center upstairs, where we have an enclosure so they can do some dedicated educational things. I don't know specifically what that looks like, but it gets that space. Some of our, and I'm not sure if that would actually be the thing or not, but that's something that's been talked about. Without that, we get that space, and then some of our book carts, when we did the shelving project a couple years ago, are on casters, which allows us to shift those around. For me, a lot of the thing is to create just more opportunities to do the programming that children's already does, but in the children's area. Because right now, they do so much programming, and the size of the attendance of those programs means they're using our community rooms, which should be available to the community, not for library programming. So they can shift at least some. There's still some story times that are way too huge, and that's a good problem to have. But we'll be able to do a lot of that in children's and have the programming in the children's area instead of in a meeting room.
Okay.
And it's possible to add some shelving. I don't want to do too much because it's really the programming, but it would allow us maybe to grow the collections a little bit with some additional space. But that would be, I mean, everything's a priority, but it's really the programming that's the priority here. I don't know if my answer, Nicole, was any different than last time.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I
So
didn't know. It sounded originally. I think your original like letter to the train group was like, we have a plan to make this a literacy space.
yeah.
And I don't think I was aware of the plan originally, so that's why I asked about it. But it sounds like it's less that you have a planned space need and more that you would like the train to be removed so that there is more space.
I would say we have a space need that we've had for a while that we've tried to adjust without relocating or removing the train. And it's finally to the point where the train is the only option that will help create the rest of the space that we've always needed.
Needed for moving the story times in.
Yeah, for one, yeah.
Moving one story time in?
No, I meant moving story times is one thing. There's other programs. And there's programs we're not doing as well that we could do if we had more space to do it. So it could be a program that exists that we may not be relevant to people in a story time for that age group. Maybe it's different and it could exist concurrently. Again, something we can't do now.
And you cannot do those programming that you want to do because you would have to use that community space instead, and that community space is being used at those times?
The community space is currently being used for every story time every day of the week.
Right, you're saying that there's other programming that you would like to use in the new space that's opened up by the train
I think
that you're not currently doing.
Right, yeah. So that's where you're hearing literacy, because that's what I haven't fleshed out with the children's staff, Nicole. Like, I think the details, like, well, what is the program you're going to do in that space? That I haven't gotten down to that level.
I'm hearing it just gives you options, and it gives you the option of running 2 concurrent children's programs.
Yeah, for one. That's what I meant for one. Yes, that's one example.
Cool.
Ross?
That's it.
Thank you. Any other questions about anything in John's report? Okay. Pretty thorough, as usual, thank you. We have some outreach and engagement updates, and then we can go home. Anybody wanna, well, I mean, everyone can read what's there, right? Are there questions about the events? Does any, Tracy or John, is there anything that you'd like to say that might be relevant, to us as board members in terms of the opportunity to engage? Like, we were talking about the gardening.
Yeah, I think, so the 2 events there certainly are large events. That annual gardening fair is huge. It's just the quantity of people that come in here for that and get their seeds and all that stuff. It can't be a bad opportunity to be around and just, put your volunteer badge on and say, I'm with the board, Let me tell you about that. I mean, whatever you want to do. The librarians film, on that Sunday. I think in my mind, and maybe because that's so specific to libraries and it's really about some of the current issues that libraries around the country are facing with librarians like being charged for checking out books to kids, I think that would be a place to really talk, the elevator speeches on libraries and why they're essential. Like the content of that program might be more conducive to conversations. I think you can make a conversation out of any program. It's also going to be well attended. It's at the museum. As of today, there's almost 240 people registered to go. Plus, you should register to go if you haven't. I mean, it's a great film, and there'll be a Q&A panel after, which I think will spark some great conversations around current issues that libraries are facing.
So should we have an actual table, maybe in the space outside the auditorium?
We could share space with the friends if they'll have us.
Yeah.
So I think any opportunity to align with them is worth considering. Both of these dates to me are prime recruiting opportunities. Maybe the museum more so because of the content and who that might draw forth. But I think you'll also, meet potential applicants at the gardening event because it's so popular and
it is, and I think, the librarian's film, you're going to likely get people who use the library already or have a lot of interest in it. That's a good thing. The gardening fair is good in a different way, where I think we get a lot of people in here, and that may be the one time they come here. And to me, that's opportunity as well, because then you can maybe talk to some people that, are, they kind of make that one visit, And same with the book sale, which is the third thing on here coming up in the third week of March. Again, I think the library sees a lot of visitors for those book sales 4 times a year, and then maybe or maybe not that they're coming back for other library services. So again, I think that's a great time to try to talk to people. If you were to ask me, would you?
yeah. Well,
She kind of did.
Okay, you did.
yeah, but I also know.
Yeah.
Last month or maybe it was December, somebody who was not me asked if it would be possible or if it would be a burden for you or staff to put together some very high-level talking points about where the library is and what the biggest needs are or data points that illustrate what the biggest needs are. The thing about the ebooks, it's like, what else might you not know or not realize?
And then I did at that same meeting at the senior center. Because you did that presentation, we had the graph with the budgets of the different libraries in our area. I was able to say, the reason you can get all these ebooks from Boulder is because they have a budget 3 times as big as ours.
Yeah, that was a really great tool. I know it wasn't fine-tuned yet, but just the concept of what that's able to give us. I
So just
really like that.
Things like that.
Just something because otherwise my mind goes blank.
Right. No.
People.
Well, I same here. You think working in this industry for so long, it's like you can all of a sudden someone will ask you, and I'm like, because we're important. I don't know what else you need to know. That's not the greatest answer. So I can.
Yeah, I was the one that brought it up because
thank you.
I'm a little have anxiety about sitting at a table and talking to people, but if I had just the top level things, and that might be the best opportunity I think for trying to recruit people to be on board because if they care enough to come and see this film,
That's what I'm saying.
So do we even just have an application that we can hand out to them?
We could have a little half sheet that has like a QR code to the online application.
Yeah, I'm still in school, I can't on paper, but.
I mean, some kind of
Something.
signage, like visible sign, even if it's like on a little corner of a table, that says, you know,
Do you want
now
help?
recruiting, or
Yeah,
ask
do you want
about
help with
library
these kinds
advisory
of problems
board.
for with libraries?
I will definitely be there. I already got my ticket, and I'm bringing a gaggle of young people, and I'm trying to figure out how available I can be to stand out in the atrium. And
Yeah.
I think I can. I don't think they're going to need much from me, but they're high school students. But I am technically shepherding them to this film. On us.
Okay.
Well, whatever those kids might do, they're not in the library, so I'm.
No, I don't mean like they're gonna do anything.
Whatever. No, I'm
He's
kidding.
like, I probably have to drive him home pretty soon.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah. Actually, I started reading that book Overdue by the woman who worked in the DC
DC.
Public Library.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very interesting. I mean, obviously, they have problems way beyond the kind of thing that we have to deal with. But it would be interesting, maybe next month, if you could maybe give us a little update on the homeless issue here and what the policies are. And
Sure.
do you have you had problems? I do remember one time when I was here getting something, the staff had to call the police to escort somebody out. That was a number of years ago.
I get asked, not infrequently, I get asked about the situation. And it's typically by someone who isn't here very often and maybe heard something or
Yeah.
read something either about another library or about this library 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's a
would be
lot
good
of
to know.
misinformation.
Yeah, exactly. And it would be good to know what the current
Oh, I
situation
mean,
is here.
Yeah, that's fine. I can update,
Yeah.
kind of our approach,
Mhm.
which, I mean, I'll say right now, as library staff, we don't profile anybody. We respond to behavior.
Yes.
Someone may happen to be experiencing homelessness,
Yeah.
but I will never call anything here a homeless problem. If it's a behavior problem, it's a behavior
It's a
problem.
big.
But we do have policies, we have guidelines for how we approach people.
Mhm.
I think we do a good job in following our own policies, but doing that with care.
Mhm.
But I'm happy to talk more
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, just like-
And you're right, so right. It just takes one story. So years ago, maybe before you lived here, there was a very unfortunate incident at Denver Public Library downtown, and someone overdosed and died in a restroom. Now, all Colorado libraries have a severe homelessness problem and drug addiction problem. And it's obviously very sad, but that's how a story can just be like,
Explodes.
Well, do you remember what happened in Boulder with the methamphetamine?
of course I do, because then everyone was calling me and saying, what are you doing about your meth problem? That's what happens. It's just, that's the way things work, right? Not just for libraries.
Yeah.
Schools too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway,
Yeah.
just because I was reading this going on. Need to know what's happening.
I don't have anything else. Do we want to ask the friend anything to say about the sale? Just, it's the regular sale.
it's their quarterly book sale. Yep. There is a pop-up sale this weekend.
It was
That's romance
Right.
related.
last weekend. It was last weekend.
Correct. It was last. I thought it was.
Not in
Never mind.
advance.
That happened. I hope it was great.
So you would have the books before Valentine's Day.
Yeah. That would be the. No.
Any other comments, closing remarks? I loved hearing a request for like next time, like want something that you wanted to talk
Yeah.
about in a future agenda.
Yeah.
Like, nothing makes me happier than to correct future agenda
I'm glad I
items, and I'm not even
contributed to it.
joking. Thank you,
Well, I mean, it
everyone.
goes along with the goals discussion where we talked about having
Mhm.
staff doing presentations, which. I think-
And I'll be working on that.
And we were gonna wait on that until we get a new board member, but in the
Right.
meantime, just little policy issues and things, you know. We just like to know what's going on
No,
behind the scenes.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, in the same vein as what Jamie just said, I mean, we'd love to talk about specific things like that.
Yeah.
And that way, as a board member,
That's what.
your neighbors ask
if
you
we
a
get
question,
somebody
you can
like,
talk to
you
them.
know,
And
what
they'll
about this
overhear
problem?
some smack and you're like, no.
No,
That is,
not
where
true.
did you hear that?
Yeah, yeah. So,
Okay, thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just have a question. I realized I parked in the garage downstairs. Am I gonna have a hard time getting back in the garage, get my car?
Which garage? The library garage?
Yeah.
You're good, because Tracy and I are here.
Oh, okay.
So
It
we'll
just-
go out
it
together.
scares me as we're talking about this, like,
Or we'll get you down there.
that elevator now is kind of caged in.
No,
And I can't
we'll,
hear the door.
we'll walk down with you, or we'll get you in. It's not a problem. It's a problem, like, if you come to a city event and you park there before we close, and everyone gets walked in there.
And
Which
then
happened.
lost.
It does happen.
Did
I
that
was going to
one-
say that we talked last week tentatively because of a conflict I have of changing the March date. I'm sorry,
Wait a minute,
Diane.
I'm just seeing this.
It's on our agenda next meeting.
Oh,
We didn't talk about our next meeting. We always end with
Okay.
that before adjournment.
So, whoa.
oh, so
Hold
are
on.
we changing it?
Yeah.
So was the conversation, I don't have the minutes.
So I'll tell you, I presented the fact that I probably might have a conflict in March, and so the
Yes.
board agreed on an alternative date, which is on here as
Yes.
March 23rd. That's not the third Monday.
Right.
I'm here to confirm that I do have that conflict.
Mhm.
So I know this says next meeting, but in my mind, that was tentative. So I want to clarify
Okay.
before everyone leaves.
Okay.
Okay.
And Diane's gonna think we never meet on the third Monday. I promise we do. This particular one is my fault. The first two were holiday related.
Mhm.
So
You're
that
right.
it'll be March 23rd, which is not the third Monday, it's the fourth Monday.
Correct, and I think maybe I'm so tired, I was just assuming that if somebody saw that on the agenda and they had a problem, they would speak
No,
up.
well, maybe, but I wanted to
Thank
be
you.
100%
Yes.
sure
You're right.
before we departed here.
Yeah.
And there'll be invites, everything will be sent out like normal.
Fourth Monday.
Okay, now you can adjourn. Sorry.
Confirmed. Adjourned officially, 9:04.
All right.